These are my brutally honest thoughts about WUYANG, the newest support joining Overwatch. Hi everybody, my name is Abby. Welcome to the video. Before I jump into it, more than half of you are coming back to watch the videos, but not all of you are subbed. Guys, subscribe. You'll get to keep up with the videos for free and you don't have to rely on the YouTube algorithm to recommend it to you. Now, with that being said, that's out the way. WUYANG is the name of the game. So here is his abilities and perk list. I'm going to be breaking him down for you. He's surprisingly a simple, straightforward, easy to pick up support. He's got really good skill expression in his primary fire, but the rest of his kit is really not that hard to understand, so I'm just going to speed run it, right? So first of all, okay, I'll save the most unique part of him, which is the 𝐓𝐈𝐈𝐓𝐄𝐑 staff, which is his primary fire over here. But I think you guys have watched, a lot of other creators and even the devs talking about it, that you understand how it works. So I'm just going to get down to how he supports the team. Well, he has a healing factor, right? So if you tap somebody, you basically give them a water version of a Zen orb and they get passive healing. You can hold down the right click onto a target and heal them. You have a resource meter similar to 𝐓𝐈𝐈𝐓𝐄𝐑, and once the resource meter runs out, well, you kind of have to wait for it to charge back up, right? And when you stop healing that target, they have the basically the Zen orb, the water healing passive remaining onto them. My only suggestion would have been that I wish these were basically quote unquote two different abilities. Like if you were tapping a target, you would leave your Zen orb and then you could like focus the healing stream onto somebody, right? But the problem is like whoever you heal, they also get the water stream onto them, so that even if you've stopped, the water passive onto them, so even if the healing stream stops, the water Zen orb passive that gets that remains on them heals them for a decent amount. I mean, it's a little bit less than Zen's healing, so it's not the best healing in the world with the passive, but it can make like a small difference for flankers that are on the flank. It's pretty nice, right? Primary fire, it's interesting. It's pretty much like trying to control a smoke in Valorant. It's very similar to the way Jet's smokes work, if anybody has played Valorant. And it's really fun to use. It's a very unique primary fire, and that's pretty much where the skill expression is in his kit, and it's really nice. His movement is pretty simple and straightforward. So the movement ability is called, hold on, what is it called? I need the page. It's called Rushing Torrent, and you basically swim around back and forth. Okay, you're not swimming, but you skate around back and forth. One of the things that would have liked is if the jump on this was a little bit higher. There's a lot of times on the different maps where I felt like, okay, if I could use my power jump with the shift, maybe I can reach that ledge, but I would miss it. And I felt like, okay, come on, like this character has a decently sized hitbox. He is 250 HP because like he is, I'm not gonna lie, he's kind of easy to dive. And well, if the WUYANG player is good at anticipating the dive, he can obviously reposition with his shift, but most WUYANG players are kind of poo-poo, so maybe a little bit of more height onto that jump wouldn't be a bad idea, right? Because I think from here to here you should be able to reach that, right? I just think it's something that would be harmless and wouldn't like overly break the character, especially since the shift only lasts for like 4 seconds, right? So I think it's a pretty reasonable thing to put on the character. Next up is Guardian Wave. Guardian Wave is basically a wave of water that amplifies healing. So, it has that functionality similar to Ana's Bionade that amplifies healing. But the really interesting and important thing is that if anybody gets caught by the water wave itself, and it's got about a range of 20 meters, they basically take damage and they get booped. Now, if I recall correctly, on the dev live stream, it showcased to us that if a target gets hit, like basically like the wave, right? If the closer you are to the wave, the more boop you will take but the less damage. But if you're on the if you as the target that's receiving the hit from the wave is further away from the wave, you're going to take more damage but a lot less CC, which I think is an interesting approach. I could be getting it wrong because I don't have the stat page on me. Sadly, they didn't give us the stat pages with them over here, but I do believe that's how the logic worked, and I could be wrong. So if somebody wants to correct me down below and say, well, no, they changed it or it works like this, by all means give it to me. But it's a water wave, it heals, it knocks back enemies, it does pretty decent damage. I've been able to secure some really interesting kills with it out of nowhere during team fights, so it is a very fun ability to use. And that finally brings us down to his ultimate. And his ultimate is called the Tidal Blast. It's basically a glorified Zarya bubble. You toss it onto a target, they gain a bunch of overhealth, and then after a certain duration, it explodes, and it basically does a earth shatter-like effect where the enemy gets quote-unquote grounded. That's pretty much it. The character is really simple, straightforward, easy to pick up, really simple, straightforward healing combos. He's a great support, very well designed. It definitely has a lot of skill expression in the primary fire with the 𝐓𝐈𝐈𝐓𝐄𝐑 staff. There was a part where over here, I'll do editing magic, you guys will see it now. This Cassidy tries to run away from me, and I curve the the water orb into hitting him, and it secures the kill. So that's really fun to do against flankers, especially Tracer. What you can do is you can try to empower the water bullets, or man, I don't even know what to call them, but like make them do so what I like to do against Tracer is she's really hard to hit on the body. So what you would just want to do is like aim for the floor where Tracer is, and you'll be able to secure a nice kill on her. That's the one that where it comes up a lot. So now with that being said, let's talk about WUYANG's perks. WUYANG's perks are really interesting because I think he only really has one situational perk, and the other ones are just completely down to playstyle preference when we get to the majors. So for his minors, he has balance and overflow. Honestly, balance is the one that I'm really confused on. It really doesn't come up for me as much as I would like for it to come up, and I just feel like there's just no point. Like, it's just like overflow is consistently a nice quality of life change, and it just comes up. Like, for example, let's say this is my tank and he's low on HP and I'm healing him, right? And then I combo that healing with the tidal wave, and I'm about to run out of resources. Well, I can shift and get my resources back and keep that healing going. And it's just a nice, like, combo flow, right? So like I always like when characters can combo things like that, so I much prefer that perk. Maybe I might not see something with balance just yet, but balance for me just doesn't come up. Now coming down to falling rain and ebb and flow, this is completely a playstyle preference and how the match is going. So falling rain, if you feel like your team is dominating the enemy team and they're struggling to respond to your aggression, falling rain is really nice to have because you just do a lot more damage with the empowered orb. So like, let me just pick this and show you guys. You can see like against those bots, you're doing so much damage, and if you're able to land all three of the orbs, hold on, because like I missed some of them. Granted, it's a little bit harder to do with the 3 orbs, but if you're able to land 2 empowered or 2 to 3 empowered shots of the tri-shot, or man, I really don't know what to call these water orbs, you can confirm a kill pretty easily with them, right? So it does come up. I've definitely felt the power spike with this ability. It's nice, right? Although, on the other side, sustain is the name of the game, and if you want a perk that's just better for general use, then let me just bring the perk screens back up. So overflow plus ebb and flow is just really nice to have. One thing, a lot of people don't know this, but when you toss the ebb and flow and it returns, it actually does the additional CC, so it can be really nice, and it does the additional damage. So when it comes to consistency, ebb and flow is really nice to me. If I'm feeling experimentative and I just want to be funny DPS support moment, then the falling rain is the better perk to have. Overall, when it comes to his gameplay flow, I really like him. I think for just casual play, quick play, ranked play, I don't think he'll be that bad of a support. I do think he needs a small buff though. I think he can have a little bit more resource meter, because the damage in this game is really high, and I'm not going to lie, this guy really doesn't like the DPS passive. It's definitely felt on him a lot. So just a small healing resource increase, nothing too over the top. I think the rest of the kit, he's actually really fine. And I really like him. He's really well designed. As for the character, like from lore perspective, he reminds me a lot of Yizun from Zenless Zero Zone, and I actually really like that character, and her story was very cool and inspiring, and WUYANG's story is like 90% similar to hers, so by default I like WUYANG as a character. And he has some fun interactions with the Shimadas and everybody else. So overall, as a character, lore, gameplay, everything, WUYANG gets a very surprising 10 out of 10 from me. I think he's a great addition to the game. I do think that perhaps his ultimate, it's going to take some time to getting used to and people figuring out who it's going to best combo with. In my personal opinion, the best combo characters for this ultimate is without doubt Genji and Reaper. They just love this ultimate. It really, because both Genji and Reaper want to get in people's faces with their ultimates, and it's just a great comboing tool. No shocker there. Nano is also like the best on Genji and Reaper, especially going into next season. It's going to be great, right? Then moving on over to the tank side, it works really well with all the dive tanks, and what they want to do gives them a little bit more oomph and window for forgiveness, because it gives them a lot more HP. Then you come over to some of the brawl tanks, and Ramatra and Reinhardt and Queen really like it as well. So these are just some of the characters that really like. You can, like, if you're a WUYANG player and you want to know who to like give your ultimate to, these are some great targets. Similarly, Orisa is also a very great target to toss your ultimate onto and let her go do her thing with her ultimate, because again, the same thing with Orisa is she wants to pull people in, and the great thing is, like, people can usually escape Orisa's ultimate. With WUYANG's ultimate, when Orisa pulls them in, you basically get a mini Earth Shatter through WUYANG's ultimate. You ground all of them, and then Orisa finishes them off with her, the release, like the Javelin Slam, right? So WUYANG, 10 out of 10, very fun support, very great. I think he needs a little bit more help, and I think all they need to do is give him the a little bit more resource on the healing stream. Outside of that, very great support. I would like to hear your guys' opinions. Do you like him? Do you dislike him? If there's something you would want to improve, what would it be? Let me know in the comments down below. I will be reading and interacting, so don't worry, most of you will be replied to. With that being said, shout out to the patrons over here. Like, comment, subscribe, algorithms, you know how all this works. With that said, see you in the next video.